sell this oil, you gotta pay taxes. Yes, yeah, so oil, these are active investments, and so this is passive investment like real estate. So the income is active, it's just like a W-2 income, and so you do have to pay taxes on it, it is earned income. But, you know, what's unique about gas is you have what's called a depletion allowance. Real estate has depreciation, but in the IRS code, oil and gas producers get a depletion allowance, which allows you to make 15% of your earned income.
All right, Shane, we'll be pushing the broadcast live to the virtual platform. Nothing for you to do here. Just look at it as a 5-minute warning.
Perfect. Hey, Mike, do you think I should mute my camera or just leave it the way it is? I always kind of feel weird sitting here in that 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if you plan on doing any work or listening to anything, I'd probably mute it just to be safe.
No, I can. That just, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll just mute the sound. How about that?
Okay, that works. All right, Shane, we're about 45 seconds out. I'll just lead us off with a quick intro. We'll be ready to go.
Perfect.
And a great day to everyone attending Money Show's Virtual Expo Oil, Gas, and Renewables Boot Camp. We are pleased to welcome Shane Schonefeld, founder and CEO of Crown Exploration. He has been an integral part of its 28-year oil and gas history. His family was in the well servicing business. Then he attended Texas Tech University. He received Series 22 and 63 licenses from FINRA. His industry-specific financial knowledge bridges the gap between Crown's numerous well sites and its investors. Shane, always a pleasure. It's all yours.
Mark, thanks for the introduction and welcome everybody. Let's walk through an oil and gas investment, talk a little bit about how we do things and a little bit of the tax benefits on the side. Again, my name's Shane Schonefeld, and I am one of the founders and CEO of Crown. Why choose Crown? I think probably the main thing I would say is experience. We were founded in 1997. We have over 28 years of drilling wells, 230 to be exact, across 5 states, mainly in Texas, but we've done Montana, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Colorado. Responsible development. We focus on proven fields. We utilize modern, efficient drilling technologies, primarily horizontal drilling. Our investor profile is typically it's an accredited investor, U.S. citizens, and they're looking to reduce tax burdens and looking for potential long-term monthly income. We partner with great geologists, landmen, regulatory counsel, regulatory experts. Also, we operate with an exclusive FINRA licensed broker dealer that's exclusive to Crown offerings. So they only sell Crown offerings. But I think in a nutshell, experience. We've done it for 28 years. We've seen a lot of ups, we've seen a lot of downs. Heck, I've even seen oil and went down to zero a few years ago. But we're still here, still making it happen. I mentioned our exclusive relationship with the broker dealer. It is Texas Securities. It was formed in 2003. Over 22 years selling exclusively for Crown. They're registered with the SEC, members of FINRA and SIPC. Registered reps offer oil and gas interest, again, exclusive to Crown. They have annual regulatory examinations, including regulation best interest. We have an in-house compliance team. And Crown, we offer, we sit down with those guys weekly, monthly, with well status updates, production reports, anything any kind of knowledge that needs to be passed from Crown to the BD, so they understand and our clients understand. We try to pass that industry knowledge along as often as possible. Our due diligence process is like a lot of guys out there, but what we really focus in on is we try to identify fields, blanket formations with targeted sustainable infrastructure, if you will. We analyze historical production, current production, any kind of data we can get our hands on. We look for potential of additional wells. We like to develop leases. We like to drill these leases out. It's not uncommon for us. We operated up in the Panhandle in the Cleveland Sand. We drilled 30 plus wells in that area. So we like to find fields that we can continually develop and enhance. We acquire all the leases, all the permitting. We secure the drilling rights with all the compliance, all the regulations. All that's handled by us. Crown is the managing partner in this. We manage the venture. We organize it. We, of course, manage it. But we like to partner with experienced operators. That's a lot of independents don't partner with their operators. We like to have our operators with skin in the game. We like the guys that are looking after the well, that are making recommendations to the well, have their own money in that. We like them to have ownership in that. We feel like we get a better value from an operator and it wholly affects the joint venture itself. Due diligence, we'll get into some more of this, down the road, but we look at all the surrounding production, all the historical history, whether it's well logs, seismic, any kind of formation data we can gather up. We look at all that before we make any decisions on a leasehold. It's something we take very seriously. The process, though, the typical oil and gas investment pipeline, it's rather lengthy. As you can see here, I'm going to try something a little new today. Try to grab my laser pointer. I'm right here, from the very beginning. It's, reviewing maps, industry exploration trends, etc. I'm going to, hop on down to, okay, we've acquired the lease. We're paying surface damages. And one note on surface damages is obviously surface owners and mineral owners oftentimes aren't the same people. And you do pay damages to go out to, let's say a farmer's field and set a rig pad there. So from paying surface damages, and what we mean by that is once we go in and we have a drill site and we prepare that drill site, we pay the surface owner for that. And in the end of all this, we restore that land back to the way it was. One note is horizontal drilling, and we'll talk more about that as well. With horizontal drilling, there's less surface damage than conventional vertical drilling. Anyway, everything down from staking location to starting drilling to testing the well to putting it in production, all the way through to paying our investors. Quite a lengthy pipeline. A lot of the questions I get is, well, how long does this process take? Well, every well is a little bit different. The short answer is roughly about 3 months. From funding to start the drilling. Some take a little longer, some take a little less. A lot of it depends on how many units, how large the joint venture was, maybe where we're drilling, even the time of year. We just started drilling a well that we've been delayed for, 4 or 5 weeks on. We've had a lot of rain, a lot of weather here in Texas, and it just didn't make sense to go in and pay more surface damages to get this well drilled. We let the pad site, the area dry up before we moved the rig in. But anyway, this is something to kind of look at, to kind of understand. This isn't all the steps, but hey, it hits on a lot of. Well, oh yeah, gotta undo my laser pointer. My bad. We primarily drill horizontal. I'm not knocking on vertical drilling. Vertical drilling still has a place in the oil business. It's still widely used, but horizontal is a little bit different. I mentioned that it's less surface damage. Obviously, you're exposing a lot more pay zone with horizontal drilling, but your footprint's a lot smaller. If you compare the two, I'll grab my pointer again. If you compare the two, we have vertical drilling here. The TVD, that's total vertical depth. And on this example, we're drilling vertically down 6,000 feet in the pay zone at approximately 100 feet in thickness. Okay. And over here on the right, this pointer in, we're drilling down 6,000 feet and then we're going horizontal. And on this example here, and again, this is just an example, we kind of peeled the layers of the earth back. How would that look? Kind of a visual, what you're looking at here. We peeled that back. Once we go horizontal, in this example, we're exposing 9,000 feet of that 100-foot thick pay zone. So it's easy to see, doesn't take a rocket scientist here to understand that horizontal drilling exposes way more pay zone than vertical. And a lot of the areas that we drill in, blanket formations, these formations can cover vast areas. Some of them can cover, several counties, wide or long, or however you want to look at it. And a lot of these, the horizontal drilling is really the key that extracted this hydrocarbons out. If you go back, 50 years ago, a lot of these formations weren't produced vertically because there just wasn't enough exposure of the pay zone. So a lot of what we do is the horizontal exposing this pay zone. If you look at it, the vertical versus horizontal here, you're exposing 100 feet versus 9,000 feet. How many wells, how many vertical wells would it take you to expose that much? So anyway, again, this is just an example of kind of what we do and how we like to structure things. We like to go into areas that are blanket formations that are, hey, we know there's hydrocarbons there. The question is how much. No guarantees in this business, but obviously we go in areas that we have a pretty dang good idea. Uh, there's oil and gas present there. And one of the keys that we use is horizontal drilling. We cut our teeth on horizontal drilling back in the Barnett Shale. Some of y'all may have heard of that. It's in this area that I'm in North Texas. Uh, we started drilling that. Really looked over the fence to see what EOG was doing out there, and small guys like us came in and drilled a bunch of those as well. Kind of got accustomed to it. Horizontal drilling, 20 years ago versus now, way different. And the main difference is the exposure. Back then we were drilling, 1,000-foot laterals. Now we're drilling 9,000-foot laterals, and we're even doing projects now where we're doing a single vertical and dual to multiple to quadruple horizontal legs out of one wellbore. So that's kind of where the industry's going, and we're always there trying to look for the new technology to unlock these reservoirs. I think a lot of y'all probably came here to look at tax advantages and kind of what oil and gas does for you. Oil and gas is an active investment if you're investing in a drilling project, and you're afforded some benefit, you're affording some tax benefit before investing in active uh, drilling in the United States. There's tangibles and there's intangibles. The tangibles, just simply put, is what you write off uh, uh, that are amortized. It's a little bit different than real estate. In real estate, this is an active investment. Real estate's a passive investment. So in real estate, you depreciate, and on this active investment, you amortize. So the total investment, the total amount of investment allocated to equipment, any kind of tangible item during the drill and development and completion costs can be amortized and depreciated over 5 years. Your intangibles, that's generally the largest portion of your investment, is deducted in the year it was paid or the year incurred. So in the oil and gas drilling, the upfront, and generally, and they all vary between, what project you do, 80, 85%, some maybe 75%, but, 75 to 80% of your investment is 100% deductible in the year paid. I'll show you what that looks like in a sec. And we'll talk a little bit about why these tax incentives or how these tax incentives, came to be. Well, the Reform Act of '86, when they passed that, it's one of the few, really one of the only ones I know of that remain, specifically exempting oil and gas working interest as being classified as passive income. Now, remember, I told you it's active income. It's like a W-2. It is active income. Active versus passive. Well, the concept of passive income and active income, it prohibits offsetting losses, passive activities against income from active businesses. So you can't offset your passive against your active, right? But this act in '86 said, hey, working interest in oil and gas is different. It's not a passive activity, so deductions can be offset against business income, salaries, capital gross income, etc. And that is your advantage here. So you're looking at kind of twofold. Our value proposition on this is simply this. We offer tax benefits and we offer potential for monthly income. Now, we all know that you can donate, you can, give money to charity, and you can write that off against some income. We got that. But the back end of this is the income side. There's also one other part of this act. It's the small producers exemption. This was really designed for smaller companies, not for Exxon, not for Chevron. This is for companies less than 50,000 barrels per day of production. This exempts or allows 15% of the investor's gross income from the sale of oil or gas to be tax-free. So 15% of that is tax-free. Give you an example. Say a well produces $100,000 in revenue in the month of June. 15,000 of that is tax-free. As long as that well produces, it's tax-free 15%. Now, what's that look like on paper or kind of on an investment? And again, all of what I have here, I'm not a CPA. Obviously, consult with your CPA, your attorney. This is not a fit for everybody. Typically, oil and gas attracts high income, high net worth, high tax, looking for a way to hedge that, to mitigate some of that. It's not a replacement for your portfolio, but it's an enhancement. I call it a tool, if you will. Your intangible drilling costs, we talked about that, are 100% tax deductible in the year incurred, year paid. In your tangibles, those are deducted over the 5 to 7 year or over the life of the well. Remember your depletion allowance, 15%, is tax-free, any income you receive from the sale of oil and gas. And again, unlike real estate, this is active income deductions, not passive. And they can be used against your business income, your salaries, capital gross incomes, and your interest income. What we do when we set up a joint venture is we sell it in units, and we have two parts to the investment. You have a drill and test, and you have a completion. What I'm showing you here is the first step of the investment. And again, this is just an example based on a prior offering that we did of 1 unit drill and test of $215,000. You have intangible drilling costs of 85%. Remember, those are deducted year incurred. So 85% times the 215, that's 182,750. If you're at the 37% bracket, it's a $67,618 savings, and your net tax reduction, your investment net tax reduction, or your new basis, is what I would say, is 147,382 out of the 215, and that's how that works. Obviously, you've written off 85% of it in this example, and the remainder is over the next 5 to 7 years. The income side, I'm showing kind of 2 examples here. There are times where we do produce oil and gas, but this is just a kind of an example to show you what we look at, kind of how we show returns. Everything from zero, because there are no guarantees in oil and gas. We do try to mitigate that though. From gas and oil, I'm using $4 per MCF in this example, 65 for the oil example. And if you look at production, we got 5,000, 3,000, 1,000 here. Guess I should get my pointer again. I can grab it, maybe. 5,000, 3,000, 1,000, 0. And on the oil, we have anywhere from 400, 300, 200, 150 down to 0. The working interest is different because I'm just showing this again. It's just an example. Obviously, market prices, production can vary substantially. This is based on, I think, last month's pricing. But anyway, if you're looking at a gas well and it's producing 300 MCF per day, in this example, that's almost 6,000 monthly. It's about a 25% cash on cash return. That's no tax benefits included in it. Same thing with oil. If you look here, let's go to the middle, 200 barrels a day. That's almost a little over 9,000 per month, and return is about 34% cash on cash. And again, this is just an example. That's the only thing I can't tell you. we have a pretty good idea that, hey, we've got oil, we're in a blanket formation. Say we're in Colorado drilling in the Niobrara. We know we've got surrounding production. We know we're going to make oil. The question is how much. We have a pretty good idea. The more wells we drill, the more wells around us kind of shows us. But these things can vary, and that's kind of why we give a range. So you can kind of do your own determination as well. But again, that is our value proposition. Oil and gas offers substantial tax benefits as well as potential for monthly income, long-term monthly income at that. And that's what we offer. Been doing it for 28 years. And again, accredited investors, U.S. citizens, typically high net worth, high tax, high income is kind of what's drawn to this. A lot of people don't know about this. A lot of people are unaware of the benefits of directly investing in a drilling project. And I guess that's why I'm here to kind of spread that news. Come on here. I'm having trouble today. My apologies. Typical Crown joint venture, um, sold through our exclusive FINRA licensed broker dealer, Texas Securities, sold in units. The average joint venture is between 30 and 50 units. It can vary. We've done them as small as 10 units, but 30 to 50 is kind of where we're at. Can be sold in fractional units, so you don't have to do a full unit. Minimum investments, depending on the project, typically 1/8 of one unit. Unit prices are around 300,000. That's drilled, tested, and completed. Uh, and remember, I mentioned we do it in two phases: drill and test and completion. In the drill and test phase, uh, that money is used to drill and test the well. If it's deemed commercially productive, we go into the completion phase. We send out, our geological evaluation of it, whatever, whatever else needs to go out with it for you guys. And we call for the second half of the investment uh, of completion. And then that well gets completed and, put into production. A lot of people say, well, what if the well's drilled and tested and it didn't test commercially productive? Well, then it would only be the drill and test amount. Uh, and what we would call that would not be good, be a dry hole. But they have happened, they do happen. And at that point in time, 100% of your investment would be written off uh, for a dry hole. We don't like those. I've had about a dozen over the last 28 years, and knock on wood, I hope that's about all. But we know it provides aggressive tax benefits. 100% of your investment is an active deduction from your gross income over the life of the well, and monthly income is based on monthly production and market price. That's kind of how we set this up. Our virtual booth has a lot of information in it. Obviously, our website, things like that. Love to talk to you about what we do and how we do it here. No pressure, but I'm just kind of hitting the highlights and trying to get through this as simply as possible. So also towards the end of this program, we'll hopefully have a little bit of time to take a few questions. But what can you expect from us? Well, our experience, of course. You'll have access to our premium fields. Use a broker dealer to facilitate our transaction. We have great investor support, everything from our investor relations team to our website, transparent reporting. Obviously, we give regular updates. Financial advantages, we've talked about those a few times now, but 100% tax deductible investments. And I think it's a great hedge against inflation and an alternative investment. And if we have time, I think we've got, this is a couple of photos. At the top is our team at Crown, and down below is our team at Texas Securities. You can visit our website here with QR codes. You can book an appointment if you want to talk to somebody. Follow us on social media or give us a call anytime you want as well. I think we have time. If we have time, Mark, we'll do a few questions, and I'm going to run this video while we wrap it up. Thank you all for joining me.
Thank you so much, Shane. Yep, we do have about Right about 5 minutes. We can take some
All right,
questions
great.
here. All right, we had a question um, come in. They're wondering, do you have any offers that are 1031 eligible?
We don't. A lot of those, a lot of the 1031s are that I'm aware of. It's really not my space, but just to try to answer the answer to your question is no. But a lot of those are royalty type deals or currently in production, and those types of programs don't offer many, if any, tax benefits to them if they're already uh, in production. But the short answer is no. But thank you for the question.
All right, thank you very much. Another viewer writes in, does the state of Texas require your company to report how much oil was extracted on each of your sites?
There is reporting, although there's a lot of there's a lot of rules that that we all use, not just me, but all of us. Ultimately, everything that's extracted is reported, but we like to hold that to our chest as long as we can. So if we have 90 days to disclose, we may take the full 90 days before we disclose what's been extracted, and primarily just to try to protect our leasehold, maybe to acquire more leased acreage, before a big guy comes out there and tries to take it. And we all kind of do it, but ultimately everything is disclosed. There's just certain time limits on different things. But yes, it's through the Texas Railroad Commission, and that's who you must report to. So yes, that's the answer.
All right, thank you very much. Another viewer here, they're wondering, how do you keep accredited investors informed and provide ongoing communications throughout the lifespan of a drilling project?
It's pretty easy. One, uh, our partners can log in daily, if you will. We try to post everything, drilling reports and everything live for current partners. We use snail mail. We mail out different things, whether it be a drone video, kind of like what you're watching right now. In the last few years, we do drone videos on everything we do, from drilling to completion. We send that out to clients. Phone call. You can always call us. Here Monday through Friday. Usually here till after 6. So take those. Email as well. We utilize pretty much all of it. It's important. It's important for us to communicate with our investors. I, 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 I know some don't, uh, but we do. We try to keep you informed every step of the way, and even even uh, little thing. Hey, uh, we had an incident uh, last winter where we had some wells that were freezing up because one, gas coming out of the ground and it hits the surface, the atmospheric change. We had it freezing up and we weren't producing any. And not to mention it was 20 degrees up in the panhandle. Just updating people that, hey, the well's down for 3 days before we can get it back up and running. And things like that. Yeah, I mean, you could pick that up in a production report, 2 weeks from now, but it's good to know, live. I can't tell you that we hit on every single thing, but we dang sure try. But great question.
All right, thank you very much. We had another viewer here. They're wondering, do you have any investment opportunity in or near Haynesville Shale?
Um, we're working on something like that. The Not right now. Nothing. I'm not offering anything for sure, but yeah, we've been working on some Haynesville for a while. So maybe in the future we will. I hope so. We put a lot of effort in, so I hope we did. But great question.
All right, thank you very much. Another question here, would this be considered a joint venture or limited partnership?
It's a joint venture. Absolutely a joint venture. And that scares people sometimes, especially in an old deal. They're like, hey, I'd really rather have a limited, or, can we be converted? No, we do joint venture. There's a lot of arm's length. There's a couple of reasons why we don't operate, because we want the arm's length kind of transaction. Same thing with drilling rigs. We don't own drilling rigs. So we want that distance between us and the drilling. And that also distances us, and our partner from any drilling operations or any any problems that may occur out there. Knock on wood, we never had anything like that, but we do get a lot of questions about that. We've always set them up in joint ventures, and if you start going into limited partnerships, and I'm no attorney, no tax attorney for sure, but when you start getting into that, you start getting into limited partnerships, then you start losing some of your tax benefits. So we're all joint venture. Great question.
All right, thank you. It looks like we have time for one more here, Shane. Um, Tracy writes in and is wondering, what basins are you active in?
Well, I won't give it all. We've drilled around. We've drilled in Colorado. We've drilled in the Williamston Basin. We've drilled in the Cleveland. Drilled in a lot. And love to talk to you further about it. Give me a call, and I can give you some specifics, but I don't like to talk about all what we do or how we do it. Just out there in the world. But, great question.
All right, Shane. Well, that does it. Thank you so much for joining us again today. And a big thank you to all of those in attendance and great questions today.
Great questions, guys. And please log into our booth and check us out. Give us a call, book an appointment, whatever you need to do. Love to talk to you, and thanks for joining me. Thank you again, Mark.
Thank you, Shane. All right, everyone, you're watching Money Show's Virtual Expo Oil, Gas, and Renewables Boot Camp. We were speaking with Shane Shanafelt, CEO, Crown Exploration. Stick around. We have more great content coming your way. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, Shane, thank you so much. Great.